We're going to turn to the other big story that we were watching over the weekend. And of course, that was Sir Richard Branson in space with his crew from Virgin Galactic, successfully making that flight there. And Branson saying, while it was happening, that this was really fulfilling a lifelong dream for him.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream, looking up to the stars. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship with lots of other wonderful adults looking down to our beautiful, beautiful Earth. To the next generation of dreamers, if we can do this, just imagine what you can do.
Well, and in addition to the sort of cool factor, what better ad could there be for commercial tourism and spaceflight than the woman next to him just having an absolute blast bouncing around in low gravity there? Our Dan Howley has been watching all of this as well. And Dan, what is this? What are sort of the bigger implications of the success of this flight?
Well, we've already seen that some of the pre-market action for Virgin Galactic is up. So obviously that's having an impact on the stock. But I think overall, it shows that the idea that space tourism is something that's coming is a reality. We've seen now Richard Branson go into space, though that's debatable. I'll get to that in a second, and have passengers with him. So, this is something that's going to continue. This is still one of the test flights. They wanted to make sure that the interior was nice for the people that are paying, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get in these ships. He took off, obviously, from Spaceport America in New Mexico on the VMS Eve. That's the big ship that takes up the rocket itself. And then they fly on the Unity, and that is dropped and then rocketed up to suborbital space. Now, prior to his launch, Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin actually tweeted out this kind of, I don't want to say sassy response, but a negative response almost, essentially saying that what Branson was doing wasn't really going into space because he wasn't passing what's called the Karmana line, and that's where it's kind of an internationally recognized boundary between the Earth's atmosphere and space. The Unity doesn't go past that, but Bezos's Blue Origin does, and obviously Bezos is going up on July 20th. But then afterwards, after the flight, Bezos and Blue Origin had tweeted out congratulations to Branson. So there's a little bickering back and forth. Obviously, SpaceX is in there as well. They're going to be offering tourist flights. So I think one of the questions becomes, what is an astronaut now? Is it someone that is just a rich person who gets to fly on a spaceship, or is it a scientist, someone who's actually doing work for the betterment of humanity? I think that's going to be something we're going to have to figure out now going forward.
Yeah, Howley, on the quite interminable debate about what constitutes space, I had read that NASA classifies anyone who goes above 262,000 feet in the air as, anything above that makes you an astronaut, and that this flight was at 282,000 feet in the air. But I think to that final point, we can sort of agree that the definition of astronaut is now going to be, fine-tuned to, if you go to space and do, science experiments in space, you spend multiple days, on the ISS, that's an astronaut, and everybody else is a tourist. It's kind of the same thing with like a pilot. We can't call everyone who gets on a plane and goes to 40,000 feet a pilot, just if the pilot definition was anyone who gets on a plane and goes to 40,000 feet, right?
Yeah, I think that's something we're going to have, going back and forth for a while, at least until, like you said, this definition is now sorted out. Because, look, rich people going to space is cool and all, but I'd rather have someone that's doing something, again, for the betterment of humanity and advancing the human race rather than, just taking pictures for Instagram.
Yeah, and there's also, the other thing that, we get very caught up with, obviously, the excitement of people traveling to space. But we know, Dan, from some of the recent companies that have come public through SPACs, from the stocks we've been watching, that the sort of space business and investable opportunity is probably elsewhere, at least for now, satellites, GPS, other types of stuff that has to do with space.
And that's exactly what Virgin Galactic has. They actually have their own satellite operation that they're working on, and that's something that I think is going to be more important to Virgin than the actual galactic tourism activity. SpaceX is doing that as well. They've launched several satellites up there for various companies, ferrying for things like Facebook or their own Starlink internet capabilities for space. And you can imagine Blue Origin will be doing the exact same thing. So, it really is, I think, going to be about people renting these rockets for their own payloads rather than the tourists that are going to kind of bolster the bottom lines, as well as any kind of government contracts they can get. And it's worth noting that Virgin Galactic will have some test Italian astronauts who will be going aboard one of their ships in the future. So there will be, legitimate astronauts on these things in addition to tourists.
Yeah, I think that the opportunity for space, I don't know. I think it's clearly, look at all the SPAC valuations. I think that's all a little overheated. I will say this, like I don't have the kind of expendable, disposable income that would allow me to get on one of these planes or rockets, whatever you want to call it. I will say, if I did, though, it seems like not a terrible use of $250,000. Like it seems pretty cool. You hear it in Branson's voice. It's it's really freaking cool to be, even if it's not technically in space, that high up. And especially the more flights that go off safely, the more appetite there will be for that. I think the space tourism opportunity is decent. Just obviously we can do the math on how many people have that amount of money. And so, there's your finite TAM.
Exactly, and I think that that's going to be one of the things that we talk about going forward is when will the pricing go down to maybe below $250,000? How expensive will it be to go to the International Space Station? That's going to be probably in the millions for most people. We have had tourists go up close on Russian rockets before, so we could see more going forward. Obviously Elon Musk has said that he wants to send tourists up there, and if it does, the money does go into funding those kinds of scientific experiments, things along those lines. That would be great. I'm personally not getting on a rocket anytime soon, whether I had the money or not. I don't even like flying on planes that much, so or even going on cruise ships. So I'm gonna stay on the ground in a car. That's fine for me.
All right, Dan, Howley, we're happy that you're staying here with us down on Earth.